Welcome to Dolphin's Dive, the weekly strategically minded Handelabra stream hosted by Logic Dolphin. Handelabra believes in civil rights for everyone and to be as inclusive as possible, so any comments or activity actively working against those goals are not welcome and will not be tolerated. And let's begin. I'll leave this peaceful for now. Alright, new game. I'm gonna do 3 spirits this time. Any complexity, random adversary, no supporting adversary, and the scenario is Guard the Isle's Heart. That's the next scenario on our list for those just tuning in. I guess this is the start of the stream, so you're all just tuning in. We're going through all the scenarios one by one, and it took us like a month to finish Great River because I'm bad at the game or something, I don't know. But Guard the Isle's Heart is next. But before we see what that does, let's go through the spirits and the adversary. We have Eyes Watch from the Trees. Setup, put 2 presents on your starting board in the highest numbered jungle. Special rules, Dahan trusts the Watchers. After one of your powers adds Defend to a single land, gather up to 1 Dahan into that land. Nice synergy with Defend and Dahan. Growth options, number 1, reclaim cards, gain power card, gain 1 energy. Number 2, add a presence at range 2, add a presence at range 0. Number 3, gain a power card, add a presence at range 3, and gain 1 energy. Starts at 1 energy per turn, 1 card play per turn, gets up to 4 energy and 4 card plays, gets an air, a plant, and a moon. And the innate power is Mischief and Sabotage. Add 1 moon, 2 plant, 1 fear and defend 2. Add 2 moon, 3 plant, instead 1 fear and defend 4. Add 2 moon, 2 air, 4 plant, instead 3 fear and defend 6. And at 3 moon, 3 air, 5 plant, instead 5 fear and defend 12. Fear plus defend to deal with the ravages. Very nice combo. Also brings the Han in to kill invaders for more fear. Very good spirit. We also have Devouring Teeth lurk underfoot. Setup, put 1 presence on your starting board in land number 5. Special rules, territorial aggression. Your damage dealing powers do +1 damage. Growth options, number 1, reclaim cards, add a presence at range 0. Number 2, gain a power card, add a presence at range 1. Number 3, add a presence at range 2, gain 3 energy. Starts at 2 energy per turn and 1 card play per turn. Gets up to 7 energy and 4 card plays. Gets a fire, an animal, and an earth. Innate power, death approaches from beneath the surface. Add 1 fire, 1 animal. If you don't have presence in target land, gather 1 of your presents. At 2 fire, 1 earth, 2 animal, 1 damage. At 3 fire, 1 earth, 3 animal, 2 damage. And at 4 fire, 2 earth, 5 animal, 2 fear, 4 damage. Damage plus damage. Cool. You also have the Finder of Paths Unseen. We have 2 low complexity plus a very high complexity spirit here. Setup, put 1 presence on your starting board in land number 3. Put 1 presence on any board in land number 1. Note that you have 6 unique power cards. Special rules, responsibilities to the dead. After one of your actions destroys 1 or more Dahan or invaders, or directly triggers their destruction by moving them, destroy 1 of your presents and lose 1 energy. If you have no energy to lose, destroy another presence. Open to waves. You may make up to 2 of your lands adjacent at a time. You may change which lands are adjacent once between actions. Growth, pick 1. Number 1, reclaim cards, gain power card. You may ignore range this turn. Number 2, add a presence plus 1 card play this turn. Number 3, gain a power card, add a presence at range 2. Number 4, add a presence in any land, gain 2 energy. Starts at 0 energy per turn, 1 card play per turn, and presence spaces may be uncovered along any paths from the starting 2 spaces, including traveling backwards, which means that the total number of card plays and energy is a little less clear. But it looks like you get up to 6 energy per turn and 3 card plays. Innate powers, lay paths they cannot help but walk. 2 moon, 2 air, push up to half round down of invaders from target land. Do likewise for Dahan, presence, and beasts, each separately. At 2 sun, 2 air, push up to 1 invader, Dahan, presence, or beasts. And at 2 moon, 4 air, 3 water, repeat this power. Close the ways. Each level is a separate power. At 1 air, 2 water, isolate target land. At 2 air, 2 earth, isolate target land. At 3 air, 2 plant, isolate target land. Cool. We're playing France. Additional Lost Condition, Sprawling Plantations. There's a limit of 7 towns per starting board. Invaders win if you ever cannot place a town. Escalation, demand for new cash crops. After exploring on each board, pick a land with the shown terrain. If it has buildings, add a blight, otherwise add a town. This rule is going to be fun in Guard the Owl's Heart, as we'll see. Frontier Explorers, except during setup, after invaders successfully explore into a land which had no buildings, add an explorer there. Slave Labor, during setup, put the Slave Rebellion event under the top 3 cards of the event deck. After invaders build in a land with 2 explorers or more, replace all but 1 explorer there with an equal number of towns. And Early Plantations, during setup on each board, add a town to the highest numbered land without towns, and add a town to land number 1. Fear card distribution is 4-4-3. And now we have Guard the Owl's Heart. The invaders have found the center of the island's power, and if they lay down roots there, the heart of the island will be shattered. You must act decisively in order to save your home, and in your haste to mount a defense, you reach out for whatever source of power you can find. With your newfound strength, fight back the invaders! This scenario is notably easier for spirits with easy build prevention, e.g. a spread of rampant green. This scenario is notably harder for spirits with no build prevention or fast way to destroy explorers, e.g. Bringer of Dreams and Nightmares. Or against adversaries who act quickly, e.g. Kingdom of Brandenburg Prussia. I guess Finder of Paths Unseen doesn't really do good build prevention, but you know. Rules changes. Additional Lost Condition. Anytime after turn 1, there is a building in an inner land. What is an inner land? There's 1 inner land on each board. For 3 players, it's just whatever is the intersection of the 3 lands, and if we were to change our board layout, I think we would have a choice as to which land would be the inner land. But as you can see, when we have this interlock set up here, it's all just whatever is the centermost island, or centermost land. Setup changers. After all other setup, remove all towns, which means that France 3 is not really doing anything except adding a fear card. In each inner land, add an explorer and 1 presence from the player starting on that board. If this is illegal, as for Ocean's Hungry Grasp, add the presence in the nearest legal land on that board. Each spirit starts with 2 additional power cards by drawing a single card from each of the 2 power decks. This last clause is kind of why the scenario is considered negative difficulty, because you have an extra presence, you have 2 extra power cards. It's like negative difficulty, but France does make this a little weird because with the escalation, it just instantly adds a town regardless of whatever is on that board. Now on the standard board layout, there is 2 lands of the same of each type, so there's 2 wetlands here. The inner land is a wetland, so if they escalate wetlands, we'd have to choose between the 2 of them. And if I choose land 7, they add a town, we instantly lose. Of course, we'd have to pick land 3, which potentially means we'll be adding a blight if there's already buildings there. So it's something to watch out for. But if we were to play on the thematic map, I believe West has only 1 wetland or something, or 1 mountain, I forget which. I don't want to flip it because we'll change what I have here. But it only has 1 of that type, so if they do escalate into that land, they instantly place a town in the inner land and you instantly lose. So, thematic maps are not balanced, and France especially. But this is allegedly difficulty 7, so let's see how it goes. Alright, and then Finder can place a presence on land 1 on any board. Let's go as far away as possible. They're exploring wetlands. And then remove all the towns. So that makes France easier in a sense. Add 1 presence from each spirit into the inner land of their board. Probably just want to do card plays for pretty much all of these. Finder's interesting. I think, well, the last time we tried to stick on the bottom track as much as we could. That sun doesn't really do much for us. Kind of feels like you're forced to take the bottom there. And then powers. Pillar of Living Flame, Delusions of Danger, Trees and Stones Speak of War, Sunset's Fire Flows Across the Land, Plague ships sail to distant ports. Like calls to like. Interesting. So what does that do for us? Those extra powers give us random elements which may or may not synergize with what we have. So Eyes Watch obviously likes moon and plant the most. Delusions of Danger has a moon. Pillar of Living Flame does not. It has a fire, and we only really have one other source of fire. But it is a damage card. Delusions of Danger pushes an explorer or generates 2 fear. Fear is nice. And then the Devouring Teeth Lurk underfoot got trees and stones. We primarily want fire and animal. This doesn't give us any of those. And you need plant on this, and you have no other plant, so that stinks. And then Sunset's Fire flows across the land. It does give us fire. And 1 damage, except you deal plus damage. So it's actually not a bad power, which is nice. We would like a little bit of animal, but we could potentially get an animal there, which would be nice. Finder Paths Unseen. What did you get? You got Plague Ships Sail to Distant Ports. This is a power I don't think I've seen before, so it's from Nature Incarnate most likely. 1 fear, add 4 disease among coastal lands on any boards other than target land, targeting a coastal city. A land with a coastal city. A coastal land with a city, rather. But if you have 2 fire, 2 water, 2 animal, instead, 1 fear, 3 damage, spirits may jointly spend 3 energy per player, aided by removing disease from the island for 3 energy each, to remove the top card of the fear deck from the game. Add 1 disease. So that completely changes what this power card does. But of course, fire, water, animal. It's actually doable. The other animal card we have is Aid from the Spirit Speakers. You do have an any, but no other animal on here. I guess I forgot to go over all the things that are on here, but sun, earth, water, any, plus range on everything, push town city from any of your lands, moon, move presence, air. Yeah, lots of random things on there for sure. This costs quite a bit of energy. Jointly spend 3 energy per player to remove the top card of the fear deck from the game. That's like literally 12 fear. And it speeds up our win condition. Main issue is we don't actually get that fear card. Also, it's very expensive because it's 9 energy. Or remove disease for 3 energy each. And what's the other power that you got? Lake calls to lake, which is actually pretty nice. Sun, water, plant. It does have some synergies on here. No air, but could potentially hit some of these thresholds if we want. So that's cool. Alright, so wetlands builds, and bear in mind that a lot of the towns, or all of the towns rather, were removed. So if we could prevent some of these inner builds, such as the inner land build, that will prevent a lot of visibility to a lot of lands. If we could somehow prevent all 3 of these inner wetland builds, that'd be nice. I guess this one here also would help. But all 4 of the 4 non-coastal ones all see an inner land. And the 2 coastal ones do not. And furthermore, preventing builds is probably a bit tricky on turn 1. That's the reason we get these extra power cards, is for the spirits that can't prevent builds on turn 1 as easily, I think. But we do have like Delusions of Danger. We have Mysterious Abductions. Those are fast. We could use Trees and Stones. That is technically a thing we could do. And then Could use this to move invaders. For each Dahan, move, blah, blah, blah. And then add disease to coastal lands, which doesn't actually prevent the inner land bills. Okay. Well, given that we do have a lot of extra power cards to begin with, like, normally I would like to gain power cards on turn 1, but we might be able to get away with double presence on Eyes Watch. So we're already at, what, at 2 card plays? We could get up to 2 energy on turn 1. We don't need the defend right away, although, of course, Fear Generation is nice. If I want to play like both of these to push an Explorer and deal 1 damage to stop 2 builds or something. This does have range 1, so we could potentially stop both of these wetland builds on the left side, including the inner land one. Which, bear in mind that it's only after turn 1 that the last condition triggers, so it's okay if this does build, we could still deal with it in the slow phase, but preventing builds is generally a good idea. If I were to play these 2 cards, we would have only 1 plant. Can I get another plant this turn? I cannot. And I would need 2 energy, so I need to go up energy track. So, kind of inclined, since I'm all the way on the east side of my board, to put presence on like A4. So I have more Sacred Site visibility on my board. I can play these 2 powers, and that will stop 2 of these builds somehow. Okay. 1 board down. So then, Devouring Teeth. You did have a thing, right? Trees and Stones was technically a thing. These other powers are slow. The wetlands aren't super vital on this board, just owing to the fact that the inner land is a sands, but I mean, also technically true on board A. But again, if you were to stop the E4 build, that would prevent visibility to the A7 land. Yeah, and then preventing A5 and F7 prevents visibility to F7, which they can't explore that next turn anyway, but preventing as many visibilities as early on as possible is generally great as cascading benefits, as it allows us to power creep more easily. Now, you always gain 1 presence per turn. Like, you don't care about... You don't have double presence, and you could even reclaim all and still put a presence down. Do you want more power cards? Do you want more energy? You do have a lot of expensive powers. So you probably do need to gain energy at least for a little bit. Kind of foresee myself getting to 3 card plays before I start going up energy track. Also, that animal would be nice. It helps hit these thresholds. So if I were to do like Trees and Stones just to kill... I guess there's no Dahan in E4. So it doesn't actually work the way I would like it to. Maybe I do want to gain a power card, maybe one that deals damage then. You don't need to defend. Plus damage doesn't really do much. We could use this to push a town out from like E8 if so desired. It is a gather at range 0 though, and that would have to go into E6, which is bad currently. Could use Sunset's Fire to deal 1 damage, which is actually 2, which is okay. Ferocious Rampage could just deal 3 damage, or even 4, because it's +1. Let's take a look at a power card then, I guess. Primarily looking for Fire and Animal, which would be Territorial Strife, which is interesting. It targets a city, targets a land with a city, but only deals damage to Explorer towns, or adds a Strife. Interesting. We do get a lot of Fire and Animal on our presence tracks, so we only really need, what, 2 Fire and 3 Animal by the end? But getting as many as possible just makes it easier to hit thresholds, and Strife's never bad. Also, it's France, so there's Slave Rebellion. So I think I'll take that. And then... This is range 1. I do have range 2 E2. I could strafe that city if I so desire. If I want to do like Ferocious Rampage, I have to play a 0 energy card, considering I can't get the 3 energy this turn ever. Or if I wanted to... I could put a Sacred Site down to use this. But again, I would need to gather a town into... I guess I could gather the E4 town into E5. Sacred Site in E6. Deal the damage in E8 to kill the town in the slow phase because of plus damage. And then I could gather a town from E4 into E5, and that gets rid of all of the interland visibilities that we were so worried about. Also gets us Death Approaches, but just the base level, so if you don't have presence in target land, gather up to 1 of your presence. Or gather 1, forcibly 1. Which actually could be used to have us use the gather in a different spot, so... Cool. Still need the Sacred Site for Sunset's Fire, and this doesn't ever make Sacred Sites, so... Now for... Finder of Paths Insane. Finder can make any 2 lands adjacent at any time, which... generally probably only want to use for pushing invaders around. Letting them see the inner land is generally not a good idea, but... Oh, there's 2 explorers in F7. Huh. I just noticed that. That makes this build harder to prevent. But all of our decision making over on Eyes Watch I wonder how much we can apply to Finder. If I were to grow into an Eyes Watch land and then make that adjacent to F3, we could use Delusions of Danger into F3, for instance, which would be interesting. But what do we want to do? One difficulty is that we currently have 0 energy per turn. We could get an extra card play this turn with 0 energy, or we could gain a power card. Or can gain an energy but have like no other power cards to gain. Probably gaining 2 energy is pretty good though, since we do get 2 card plays on turn 1, which is unusual. Eyes Watch is currently not in a land that's building, so I can't use Traveler's Boon to move the presence and move the invader. Nor can I do that with Devouring Teeth. That's not going to do anything right now. For each Dahan, you may move things, but there's no Dahan in those lands. That, again. So... the only way to really deal with F7 in the fast phase would be to use Lay Paths or the combination of Delusions of Danger and Mysterious Abductions, although you don't have the range there. I could also let them build and push the things out. And we can actually push them from the inner land to a coastal land by making lands adjacent, which might be what we want to do. Circuitous and Wending Journey would do that. Paths Tied by Nature would push it to a land that has the same terrain. Light Calls the Lake would have to go into a land with towns, which we have no towns on the board right now, but we'd have to rely on one of the wetlands that is building, but we could actually just do like F7 to F3, for instance. Or just push them to an inland land and kind of push the problem down the road. Several options. Isolating inner lands also would be a nice thing to do down the road. So if I do the journey and the ways ashore, would that give me elements wise? Gives me 1 moon, 2 air, 1 water, 1 earth. We have an innate earth. So we would be able to isolate 1 land. Only costs me 1 energy total, so I could go up to the 1 energy to get an extra moon. And I could use the extra card play to play 2 cards, get the innate energy, get a moon, which would hit this threshold. Push half round down, which potentially allows me to prevent this build. Focusing all my efforts on that. Maybe I do want to do that. So let's say I want to do that. And probably grow into... I wonder if it makes sense to grow into each other's spirits' lands just so that I could make the lands adjacent and everything that's range 1 could hit finder lands whenever I want. So like if I grow here, it's probably generally a good idea for me to be in all of these inner lands, but I'll be in a land with Eyes Watch, and now if I make, say, this land and this land adjacent, Delusions of Danger can hit F3. And if I grow into F6 or E6 down the road, then Sunset's Fire can hit F3 or whatever finder land I want. That seems like something I want to take advantage of. So I've closed the ways to isolate a land. I have lay paths to push half round down, which combining that with Delusions of Danger and Mysterious Abductions, this is range 0 and it doesn't actually hit any of these lands that I had put check marks on, so I don't know why I was thinking there. I could easily fix that. I need to take this presence back. Okay. So Mysterious Abductions in A5 kills that Explorer. Delusions of Danger. F7, and we can push that Explorer to A1. Just because we can. Okay. So let's do the things then. So kill that. First we lay paths in F7. Put you in A1, and then Delusions of Danger. That guy into A1 as well. And then no longer need to make those lands adjacent. And isolate either A7 or E6, I would say. There's already an Explorer in there, but it would stop the double Explorer. Since we're still having E4, and I guess if I isolate this, it also kind of serves the same purpose, as they can't see these 2 lands. Maybe it's better to just isolate this. I mean, technically E6 would still be viewed by E8. And this wouldn't really stop that much visibility, but just isolate that one. Alright, so I don't think we care about adjacencies for any of this. And it did explore sands. So now we have 3 explorers E6. So I was going to use Circuitous and Winding Journey to deal with F7, but I proceeded to just solve F7, so maybe I should have thought that differently. Although E5 is now an issue. So first let's see what ravages we have to deal with, and then there's these builds, and we especially... They didn't explore F8, so that's cool. But we especially need to solve the innerland ones. And there's 3 explorers in here. So... And then obviously the ravages. E4's ravage is a land with blade. F3 and E8 have Dahan. A2 has Dahan. Hopefully we have a defend coming up. We do have this defend 2. Hopefully we can also get this somewhere, but I mean, that's a non-issue really. I was originally going to use this in like E8 just to kill the town. Killing that town is not a bad idea, really. We could defend. I mean, Trees and Stones kills the town and defends for the explorer so desires. So that's not a bad thing to do there. Defend 9, but also pushes to Dahan, but we could defend E4 very easily with this. We just need energy, but we do have energy coming up. So potentially those ravages on board E are fine. Board F probably saved with Boon of Watchful Guarding. Not sure about A2 yet, but we could probably save the Dahan. Just gathering it out with Harnate. So then every other effort is then focused towards getting rid of these guys in here. So this does deal 2 damage. I could use it to kill 2 explorers in E6. This gathers at range 0, which is not helpful for these sands, but we could use this to create a spot. But it has to be a land with invaders, so it could be like E4. But I'd have to deal the damage before I gather that presence. I guess I could gather E5 into E4 if so desired. You can also push 2 invaders to a land that is coastal inland and push half round up. Which is never going to push everything out. If I were to use Herd to gather A7 into E6, so there's 4 invaders in there. Could push 2 out with this and push 2 out with this. Except I'm not in this land, so this doesn't work. It's range 0. I am in A7. I could do death approaches to get in this land. Her to gather 1 explorer here, and then use this to push half round up, but that only ever pushed 1, so it's still not good. Half round up is 1, so I could just use this there. And push 2 gets rid of 2 there, and then this to gather 1. There's still 2 damage that we're kind of neglecting. Has to be in this general area. Might just be worth doing it on this land. Don't have to defend it. Has blade. So defending it wouldn't really stop the buildings from existing anyway, so get rid of that town seems good. And then what, if I just gather my presence here, I could use herd. Well, this is a gather, and I don't really want to gather into A7 now. Maybe I don't do that. Has to be aligned with meters. If I gather here, I guess there's an excess of things there, so I do want to like gather as much as I can in there. So I just push 2 from here and here. And then gather that. These lands are now... Oh, this one still has 1. I could use the journey there. Make these adjacent, and then push that guy there. And the Dahan... I don't really want to... Guess I could push that to a different... Oh, I can't change adjacencies. I could push the Dahan to a different land, but none of the neighbors have Dahan other than E3, which has nothing. I don't really anticipate there being anything there. I could push a presence. Don't think I want to do that. Okay. So this is going to be trees and stones. E4 is fine. Need to defend here, probably. Need to defend here, probably. Or save the Dahan, most likely. And Boon of Watchful Guarding would defend 4, which would be enough for F3. Or push the town out and not worry about it, maybe. Interesting. If I do double presence the next 2 turns and I go up the energy tracks, I can actually afford my hand. And then I have 4 energy per turn for the rest of the game. 5 if I click this button a lot. That's interesting. If I play Boon of Watchful Guarding, I also have to play a Moon Plant card. Well, I have a Innate Plant coming up. But, like, I'd have to play one of these, most likely, to hit the threshold for 1 fear and defend 2. My defend gathers a Dahan, which defend 2 is not enough in A2 as it currently stands. But I could save the Dahan. Also bear in mind that that's a build. That's a build. That's a build. Eerie noises and moving trees would get rid of 2 towns in A4, which is nice. Because that would be adjacent to F7, which is an inner land. We still have a stage 1 card coming up. It's either mountains or jungle. I don't know which one would be better to see. We'll worry about that later. So say that I do decide to do this growth. Where do I want my new sacred site to be? I already have sacred site visibility 1 here. If I do it here, I don't have visibility to A2. I'd have to do it in A3. Or straight in A4, which... Nothing's range 0 on here, so I don't really need to be in that land. Let's say that I do this. Also helps to be range 1 jungle down the road. If I play those cards, I can save the Dahan from A2. Also possible that Finder gives me a means of getting that Explorer out, in which case Defend 2 would be enough. Although, I guess we would gather a Dahan. So yeah, that's something I could think about. On Devouring Teeth, we had to click this button, I believe. A lot of things are expensive, but growth option 3 gives me 3 energy, so it's kind of, there's not much reason to not click it other than if I want to gain a power card, but I do have a lot of good powers right now. So I think I get up to 3 card plays, then I can focus on the energy track, and once I'm up the energy track, I can start focusing on power cards. This one is range 0. I don't need to defend this turn unless this deals extra damage, but Territorial Strife is hard to play, I guess. We could use Ferocious Rampage to deal 4 damage to all the towns in E1, which would be nice. That's range 0. We're going Presence at range 2, so I can easily just grow in here. Gets a fire, and I get the damage threshold on death approaches as well. So I get to deal 2 damage at range 1 somewhere, which is nice. Okay. Now for Finder. Probably want to get to 2 card plays. Could gain 2 energy to afford whatever. I could so decide to get to the energy here and just play Plague Ships. Doesn't really seem like a worthwhile investment, but I could. Instead, we could just offer passage on A2. So if we do the defend in A2, which wouldn't be enough defend, but we do gather 1 Dahan, and we could use offer passage to have those 2 Dahan survive no matter what, and they would take out the coastal city. That's a thought. We could do push half round down to push a city out from A2 for whatever reason. Needs 2 moon, 2 air, also range 0, but we could just grow into that land. What if I skip the plus card play and I just take this air and I have another moon air and I only have to play 1 moon air to do the push half round down? It also unlocks move presence, so the range 0 becomes a lot easier to trigger. Like, what if I only do plus card play on growth option for now and ignore the plus card plays on the presence tracks and do things that actually do things? Because if I play offer passage, I do have other 0 energy cards I could play instead. This gives me a sun too, so another sun and I could just push 1, period. So let's say I try that out. Range 0 means I need to be an A2, although I do have a move after this is done. So I have to end up in A2 at some point. Maybe I could just put this presence here, so I'm in a land with Devouring Teeth. And then I move this presence over here. So I play these. Push half round down, but also push 1. We could use that to just stop A2 entirely. But I think it's probably still... I mean, I put myself in this land. I guess I didn't need to. Isolate A4? It doesn't really do anything, does it? Because they can't explore wetlands or sands next. Isolate F1 would stop F6 visibility, but not F5 because of F2. E1 would stop E5 and E7 visibility. Because the next explores either mountain or jungle. So isolating E1... Oh no, I guess E5 is seen by E2. Dang. I mean, I'm not using this. Is there a place I could use this in that would be nice if comboed with, like, Close the Ways? If I were to be in F1, push everything into F2, isolate F2, then we don't have visibility to F6, F5, or F4? So where was my presence again? Which one did I add? I added it to E6. I actually need to be in F2 and then move it. So then the way this would work is push these guys, but not that one. This guy. And then close. Because these two, after I do Boon of Watchful Guarding here... Oh, this is giving me an option to gather, which is cool. Yeah, so these two. Because I could just gather that up to home. Okay, cool. It gave me the prompt. Which is interesting. It said, choose 2 of your lands to make adjacent, even though, like... I don't know why I did that automatically. It's nice that it did automatically. That's the first time I've seen it happen automatically, though. That saves that. And I want to make sure there's, like, neighboring Dahan. That's not... Yeah. There's one event card that changes Singleton Dahan next to a coastal city to a town, so I do want to be mindful of that. Mischief and sabotage there. I don't know why this adjacency would matter. Oh, I guess it's anytime I gather Dahan with Eyes Watch that triggers this. I guess technically it's in between the action of the power and the special rule is probably why it's automatically triggering that. Okay. So then I do that to destroy fewer Dahan in that land. And then defend here and kill the town. And I think that's all good. The frontier calls. Explore actions add plus explorers to lands without buildings. So even more France. Layer in untamed lands. On each board, add beasts to a land without buildings or blight. Seek out new grounds. On each board, gather 1 or 2 Dahan into a land without Dahan setup symbols. So this doesn't matter. Beasts to a land without buildings or blight. So probably just, I'd say, I was gonna say the city lands, except it has to be a land without buildings. I mean, most likely the rest of this game is gonna be held coastally, so I just want you all to be coastal, most likely. All right, board A, land without Dahan setup symbols. That one. One or 2 Dahan. I guess I can save the singleton and kill the explorer in E4. And then just gonna gather guys in there. Okay. Don't care about adjacencies for this Ravage. Sands build. And exploring jungles. Let's just make sure there's no adjacencies for this. Cool. They didn't explore A8. They didn't explore F5. But we do have 3 explorers on a lot of different lands. So, Ferocious Rampage deals 3 damage to buildings only, but it's actually 4. So if I do this, kill all the towns. And that's fine and dandy, and we can use this to kill 2 explorers in E7 most likely. As that's an not an inner land, but neighboring an inner land. Eerie noises push 2 towns out of A4. So let's see where we're at. So Sands Ravage, this is the only one that we need to worry about now, and we're probably gonna do the push 2 out of there. Build. It's here. I pushed A4 and A3. Obviously, that's going to make a coastal city appear there. We do have Pillar of Living Flame, but it does add a blight to a jungle, which is kind of not ideal. Path's Tide moves 2 invaders to land within range 2. That is the same terrain. So this never really prevents builds, I guess, and it's not super helpful against France, as pushing an explorer to a different land still turns that explorer into a town if there's an excess, which is annoying. pushing these two towns with paths tied by nature would still put them in lands that are sands that would need to be defended, for instance. So also within range 2. I could just instantly lose the game by putting the two towns in A7. That seems like a waste. Honestly, just putting them in A3 and concentrating that one problem seems fine. I guess I could put in A1 and do Pillar of Living Flame there. I guess we also have the +3 damage we could use. That would deal 8 damage, 2, 4. It would kill everything in A1. Maybe I just do that. This is probably happening here. This presence isn't doing much. I don't have range there. Move those guys somewhere else, but it's also not gonna... I guess I could put it in F... Oh, but it's not really close enough. Range 2. I could make lands adjacent, but it's not gonna make them close enough for what I was thinking. Don't have visibility there. No reason to really move things out of there. There's a disease enough too. Don't have visibility there. I do there, but don't really want those explorers to go in other places. There's a Dolphin in one of those sands that would make some sense to move that guy out. I guess this could also do Presence. Or Dahan. Does it make sense? Like, probably moving the Presence would make the most sense. I could, like, move these to a different sands or something, but... I could move these just over onto E3. So there's a little more separation between the sacred sites. I kind of like that. Does it do much? Probably not, but I kind of like it. Okay, so this growth option. I would probably say the sacred site's not going to do much for a while. I would say down here is better. Sacred site visibility for Eyes Watch in a lot of places. Energy track is fully done. I can afford Pillar of Living Flame. I reclaim next turn, but also gain a power card. And we can start going up the card plays track. Kind of like that. So what does that do for things this turn? The sands are not blighting. The jungles are building. You have a defend 2, which I guess we could use just to make sure the blight doesn't cascade somewhere, but not that meaningful. Plus damage onto Eyes Watch is probably what we want to do. Playing 3 cards is happening anyways. We're playing our hand, most likely. We do have enough energy to play our hand, so we could gain a power card and see if we want to play something different, as we don't need to defend 9 this turn. Territorial Strife is also hard to play still. If I could grow into F2 or close to F2... then we could Strife the city in there, and then that Ravage is easier to deal with. Which is a thought. I guess we don't have to grow next to it because we can just move our presence with this, but could also put off playing 3 cards and just go up energy track for a bit, gain power card, energy track, gain power card, energy track, gain power card, energy track, and we could put off Reclaiming All for a bit. Or we could just do this, gain power card twice, and have a fire, but also 3 card plays next turn or something. So let's see. Let's gain power. We are looking primarily for fire and animal. None of these have fire. We do have a Gather Explorer, which could stop the E7 build. Just not really good elements. Guardian Serpents would give an Earth. So if I play Guardian Serpents, which is not really ideal as it's not defending against anything really, and I play Gift of Furious Might, and I get this fire, I have 2 fire, 1 earth, and then 2 animal, so I would get extra damage on death approaches. So this would deal 3+1, which would kill 2 towns in E2 or something. Say I click that for now. I don't know if I'm committing to this line, but it is a line. Let's come back to that. Finder, what can you do? I guess so far you're not really doing anything with E7. Although we could just use this or something, or Traveler's Boon. Traveler's Boon would do it, wouldn't it? Move this presence and whatever to F1. Interesting. Also, this moves 1 invader, which is nice, is you could move a city like entirely across the island. Because it just says move to 1 of your lands. Which could just go like, I could say, hey, E7, go into A1, and that moves an explorer all the way over there. Or if we had a presence in a city, we could be like, hey, move that city all the way over. Finder is so cool. For each Dahan, you may move 1 invader to a single land within range 2 that has Dahan. It also moves an invader. It also used to move the city to a Ravaging Sands that's defended. Although we only have defend 2 on here. Also has to have Dahan. We can't afford this ever. I guess we could, but we don't have the threshold still. Do we want the threshold? What if we just don't care and we just play this? Like disease here would be really good this turn. Add a presence to any land. Let's just go here. Why not? And that's my play. And I'm not isolating any lands or pushing any explorers out. So I guess that's just what I'm doing. Okay. I mean, I guess I could target this land. Disease here, here, here. There. Which... This has double disease, but it's also using up one this turn. This already has a disease. So I don't know. Defend there. I don't need to make lands adjacent for this. Gather that guy, I guess. Guardian Serpents. Furious Might there's happening. And I mean, I guess I'll just throw it on A3 in case the event card says Ravage. Provincial seat. On each board, choose a land with city, build there. Okay. We diseased all those lands, but okay. Beasts chase off homesteaders. On each board, push up to 2 explorers or 1 town from a land with beasts. Rally to the defense of distant kin. On each board, gather 1 Dahan into a land with Dahan, and that land defend 1 per Dahan. Just select none. Disease. Disease. Push up to 2 explorers or 1 town from a land with beasts. I don't really... I think we could just... Adjacencies won't matter for this, but I could push out of here into here. It's ravaging. Those explorers will die. Then I don't need to deal with A3 next turn. It'd be nice if I could also do that that explorer, but... Board E... This guy's dying and there's nothing in there, so I don't want to. Board F, there's nothing. And then gather Dahan to land with Dahan and defend 1 per Dahan, but I could just do this. Whoops, wrong one. This, gather. Don't want to take that guy. I want him to be used to kill the explorer. That's defended. Could gather more Dahan into there. Maybe. Gather more Dahan into here. Assuming you can defend. Each player may replace 1 town with 2 explorers, 1 fear per player who does. That's a really interesting fear card. And each land with 2 or more explorers destroy 1 invader per 2 explorers that kill cities. Oh my god. The only 2 towns are in A1. Which that was going to be Pillar of Living Flame most likely anyway. I mean, is there any reason not to convert them? I guess if we expect that to build, but it's diseased. But if they were to build, those explorers would turn into towns. I think just getting rid of the towns is better, though, because it stops visibility to A6 and A5. Okay, we don't need adjacencies for this. Jungle build, disease, disease, and then we didn't stop that one. And disease. Alright, now we're in escalation time and they're exploring sands. And 2 of them are inner lands, which means that our decision for escalation is forced. Oh, the House of Visibility to E6. That's poop. They didn't explore A4 or A7, which is nice, but... Okay, this doesn't matter. This has to go in A4, otherwise we instantly lose. This has to go in E3, otherwise we instantly lose. E1, rather. This technically could go in F8, but F1 is probably better since it's coastal. Okay. Does this change my Pillar of Living Flame target? Could target this to kill those explorers. I'm probably not concerned about the explorers in E6. I'm assuming we can deal with it pretty easily. We do have a Reclaim All over here, which most likely works. I guess there's 2 explorers. You can only push one out. You don't have range for the other one. But you will have +1 range on everything. I don't think that matters, but... most likely that's fine. Feels like it's going to be fine. So what do we want to do with this? Jungle Ravage. I assume we will have the threshold for defend for E3, so I'm not worried about that. Maybe F2 needs some love, but we will reclaim and have Boon of Watchful Guarding, which should be enough. Maybe I let the E1 build happen so that Territorial Strife does something. Also, this is the... By the way, this is the Slave Rebellion turn. Which is great, because there's only 4 towns on the board. But it is the Slave Rebellion turn. So, for Slave Rebellion, that's the target on board A currently. And then there's no other lands that would work just yet. Whispered Guidance obviously would help with that. So like if I gather these Dahan in here, then that becomes a Slave Rebellion target. E1 needs a little more Dahan, but Finder is in that land, which means we can make lands adjacent, and that makes it easier. Most likely, though, I'd like to just kill things in E1, so maybe I just do Pillar of Living Flame there, because that stops that build. So I increased this damage, but didn't need it. I could just kill everything in E7, though, but I would like to slay Rebellion. I guess I could just kill the city in E2. Could also kill the city in F2. If I could Strife, that'd be nice, although I can't do that. I should have played Territorial Strife after all, because that's my Strife. I can use Mark Territory to push 2 Dahan and thereby get them into E7 for Slave Rebellion, which is really interesting. Technically works. I'd have to grow into E8. Shouldn't be difficult. Okay, stop that Ravage. I guess if I do stop that Ravage, I could use Mischief on F2 instead. And then I most likely don't need to play Boon of Watchful Guarding for that. So this is Reclaim All. Let's gain power. Primarily looking for Moon Plant, which is Gift of Power, which is nice. Could use Veil the Night's Hunt to move Dahan into E7. I think we already had a plan for that, so I'm fine taking Gift of Power. Would need to play 2 plant cards and 1 moon card. So I can't do Delusions of Danger, which might be bad because I might have needed that, but let's assume I don't need it. So I do that and that or something. That gets me defend 4 for F2. Okay, then here it's gain power. We're going to play 3 cards. Looking for Fire Animal still. Fire Animal is called a Bloodshed. Say I take that. Grow into F8. Play these cards. So we still have that threshold hit. We have marked territory to push 2 Dahan in E7. Doesn't do anything for E7. For E6. So I still need to solve this. Is this where I actually take the sun? I guess I was thinking I need to play Traveler's Spoon, but I actually don't, right? I play Aid from the Spirit Speakers and Like Calls to Like. That gets me 2 sun. That gets me 0 moon. But what if I take the any? Because I could solve it entirely with Lay Paths if I had 2 moon, 2 air, 2 sun. This is the only moon card I have right now. Maybe I do a card play so I could just gain a power card and then worry about the bonuses later. Because I'm still only sitting on 1 card play. I would like to have more card plays. Take this card play because then I could see the push Town City for next turn if I so desire. It'd just be nice to have a guaranteed solution versus needing to commit to a backup plan. This only moves 1 invader. So like using this to move Devouring Teeth into E7, I would need to put my presence there, but whatever. I would also like to move a Dahan there, or well, I guess we're already getting Dahan in there, but oh, but that land will then ravage, and I'll need to defend it, I guess. But it doesn't matter. I could just put that anywhere. But I still need to. I can only move one invader total, and there's no Dahan in there. If I take the any and I do the extra card play, the any could be moon, and I play these two. So I get 2 sun, I get the moon from the any, I get the air, so I do get all of this, and that's guaranteed. Still have this, for whatever reason. But then I could use this to get everything out of E6. I would have to be in E6. I could move a presence in there to make that work. Make it adjacent to E3 and then push 1 explorer in there. Maybe that works. So I have this. Move a presence. This is defend 4. Alright, so that's Slave Rebellion. This is going to be Slave Rebellion. This is Slave Rebellion. And then this Ravage is fine. That Ravage is fine. This will be defended. And we're getting the things out of here. And the only other build is F1. Which I can make adjacent to a Devouring Teeth land to hit with Death Approaches if so desired. I think this works fine. Make these adjacent. I'm not in that land. I thought that was my presence. It's not. Did I not move my presence? I think I didn't. Move this here then. Then make these adjacent. Push that guy there. Don't need to move that presence. If I do put you there, I get 2 fear from marked territory. Push the Dahan there. I guess I could use aid to push that explorer somewhere, but that seems silly. Defend there for sure. Don't need to gather. I guess I could stop the F1 build. Move these pieces here. I I guess it's better to prevent that build. Alright. Don't need to worry about adjacencies. Everything is strafed. Everything takes damage. Replace them with Dahan. Thriving Trade. On each board, add a city to a coastal land with city. Sure, why not? Pestilence arrives on canvas sails. On each board, add disease to the coastal land with the most buildings. In that land, 3 damage to Dahan. You. Clever cooperation. Each spirit may push one of their presence from a land with Dahan. 2 damage in a land pushed to. So this board fizzles. This board adds it to E2. That board adds it to F2, which means that Ravage is a blight now. And then disease the coastline with the most buildings. Nothing there. E2, F2, and it kills a Dahan. U. Each spirit may push one of their presence from a land with Dahan. 2 damage in the land pushed to. I think we need to do this into F2. I was going to say we could try to do adjacencies here, but I think... Oh, I can do adjacencies. Okay, so if I do push this into here... No, not that one. I want to do F1, I think. But now I could make this adjacent to any other finder land and move a presence from anywhere. Just like if I do Devouring Teeth, make these 2 adjacent, push from here and move the presence here. Look at that. I just traveled all the way across the island because I found a path unseen. Cool. So now this doesn't blight anymore and everything dies in there. No Dahan takes damage anymore. Okay. And there's no build. There's no Ravage. Okay. So I guess the question is, can we deal with the cities in E2? That's 4 damage, right? So move this guy. Oh, I was trying to drag it. For some reason, this is not a drag. But now I can kill the cities there with death approaches. Scapegoats. In each land with towns, destroy and explore per town. No towns. Sands build. Mountains explore. Okay, so annoyingly, we're adding towns. Board A, don't see a reason why I would not click A1 there. Board F. I mean... F4 is adjacent to the inner lands, but it's also the land with you. Tempted to just put a blight in E2. It does destroy a presence, but I mean, stops a town. Sorry, Eyes Watch. Still would like to kill the cities in E2. But Territorial Strife, I guess, also exists. If I could somehow push a town into there, which like calls to like, but that doesn't work. Um... Put a bloodshed here, actually. Wish I was in this land so I could do like calls alike to gather A1 into F4 or something. But first, gift of power. I'm probably gonna click myself. I somehow deleted. Wow, that's off center now. I somehow right clicked and that broke everything. I just wanted to click that because I was gonna say I could just gain a major power and forget it, but moon plant. None of these are moon plant. Elemental boon is probably good though. Let's just click it. Why is this off center now? Does it fix if I do this? No, I just broke this. I just broke this. This permanently off center. Oh no. Oh no, I found a bug, but I don't know how to reproduce it yet. Oh well. Gather 3 to Han. Gather 2 to Han. Call the bloodshed. Death approaches. Or territorial strife. Doesn't matter. Are we winning? I think we win. No, there's a town in A1. I guess we'll just have to kill it in a fast phase. No. Wait, can I do like calls the lake there? I guess I can. Just gathers 1. Oh, well. Kill the things, I guess. Kill the things. So I thought... Oh no, I'm looking at the wrong thing. We're 1 card away from tier level 2. But presumably we win. I'm sure there's a way to win. We're getting 9 energy on Eyes Watch. Definitely major power here. Try to find something that is awesome. Fast things, but they don't kill things. Cast down, but it's slow. Come back to that later. That's a reclaim all. What if I do major here? What if I do major and I kill the last town with the major with finder? So if I do this and then right click, it breaks? No. That didn't break it either. How did that work? I'm gonna have to experiment offline, I think. I have a theory, but I want to make sure it's reproducible. Traveler's Boon? So is there anything here that kills things fast? Mysterious abductions with plus damage would work. That's all I need to do, really. Reclaim a power card or regain a unique power they previously forgot. Sure. That's a unique power I previously forgot. I have a destroyed presence, that's why I'm doing that. I'm just clicking that. Clicking that. Can certainly just do that. Does it work? Oh, I'm not doing the damage thing, but the power that is either reclaim a power card late by paying its cost. The unique power we forgot was Whisper Guidance. That doesn't work. Okay, so it's not that. I want to do damage. So then this is the reclaim all. And it doesn't really matter because we're doing plus damage. And then I'm just clicking random things. Okay. And then just for fun, major. Fast damage dealing major. Mountain jungle? That is a mountain. Sure. And then... I don't know. Just clicking something. +1 card play. I'm going there for no reason. Do need a sacred site, I guess. Create one. Here. I haven't any. 2 earth, 2 plant. Sure. I have that threshold. Yes, I know I don't have the land for that. I will destroy the last town, which destroys my presence. Also doesn't win the game because we don't have enough fear. Right, we're not winning. We're not winning yet, by the way. Oh. Fear. And then... You have a destroyed presence. I'm still clicking myself. For fun. And then destroyed presence in this land. And then defend. Should have probably clicked Finder for that. Even though we're not winning. Because we don't have enough fear. I'm just clicking things, really. There's no blight. There is one build that I'm somehow not able to prevent. It's kind of rude. Not gonna lie. I think this works though. Okay. Add town to a coastal land adjacent to a coastal town. There is none. Explorer's Blunder. On each board, destroy 2 explorers spawn lands with beasts. Coming of age. On each board, add the Han to a land with the Han and no blight or disease. Apparently that was the only choice. Fear card. On each board, choose the land with tokens. Downgrade a building there. There's no buildings. Sands Ravage. Mountains build. Wetlands explore. Forest towns. That's what sucks about France. Forest towns. Okay. Can we just kill things? 4 damage. Gather. Kill. Okay. kind of back at the point where we were last turn. Reclaim all. Gain a power. I'm gonna make it minor for no reason. Reaching grass. Sure. Gain major. Trees radiant. Sure. Forget mysterious abductions. Presence. Here. Play cards. Damage for sun would kill the thing if I can hit this somehow. I need 3 sun, 2 moon, 2 plant. Plant's easy. I played that for no reason. I just need sun. So elemental boon for the sun, and we win the game. Yay! Probably. I mean, the fear gets us to tier level 2, and we kill the last town. Cool. Gain minor. That looks like a fire card. Why not? I will play 4 cards for fun. I will play... I can't even afford 4 cards. Okay, then I'm not doing that. Give me 3. Play 1, 1, 1. Sure. You already grew. Okay. Play... that. Where you at? 2 earth, 2 plant. That one. Easy. Any. Moon. Easy. Bam. And then boon for the sun. And then a plant. And then an air. And you get that. Does it matter? No. We win the game. Oh, this only hits the jungle. Shit. We don't win the game. Crap. We ignore range though. This has to be in a jungle or a land with no blight. Okay. That was more annoying at the end than difficult, as we just needed to trigger a victory condition, and it was hard. Also, France's escalations are so annoying, as they add towns in lands, even if there's frickin' no invaders, but whatever. 63 points, 10 for victory, 35 for difficulty 7, 12 for the 6 remaining invader cards, 7 for the 23 surviving Dahan, and -1 for the 5 blight. We were never at risk in that game, but... understanding how Spirit Island works helps a lot to kind of avoid the issues with the Innerland. As you noticed, we generally didn't have any Innerland visibility for most of that game. And that certainly helps, but if you aren't the type to try to prevent builds and instead just constantly deal with ravages and kill towns and whatnot, then the Innerlands become harder to prevent builds in, as they'll constantly explore and all that. Nonetheless, that certainly wasn't a very difficult match, but I wasn't really expecting it to be difficult, which is why I did 3 spirits instead of 2, just so there was an added complexity somewhere. But nonetheless, I still had fun. I don't need to play hard games in order to have fun. I can play easy games and have fun. That said, it didn't really reach a point where I had complete control over everything, I guess, but whatever. That will do it for this week. Let's see. Next time, what are we doing? Next scenario is Powers Long Forgotten, which is a really fun scenario as it has a lot of effects. We shall try it next week. Does it show? It doesn't show global scenarios on here, does it? Statistics. Where's the scenarios? Yeah, it's over here. Powers Long Forgotten. We played 27 times. Guard the Owl's Heart I played 53 times. Oh dear. But yeah, Varied Terrains I played once. Second Wave I played 81 times. Yeah, so there's some fun things that we can look forward to in the coming weeks to play some scenarios that we haven't played terribly often. Just out of curiosity, what are like Vital Strength, Earth Might, Thunderspeaker Tactician I lost? I think that was the river game. Ember-Eyed Behemoth I've never played before. That's not true. I played it on the beta, but it was before the game was released, so it didn't count towards statistics. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed your stay. Check us out next week, where we will play Powers Long Forgotten. Check out Handelabra Live every Tuesday at 3 p.m. to see demos of content before it is publicly available. I'm sure there will be something coming up in tomorrow's stream. Otherwise, I will see you next week. Bye!